Hi everyone, welcome to the ElectricmotorGP show. Today's episode is just a quick assessment of charging infrastructure, so stay tuned and we'll walk you through it. Now, one of the things I've wanted to that made me decide to buy this car, bings and bongs, I figured out how to switch it off. So easy to do, simple button and press down on the roller on the car. It gives you access to switch off all the bings and bongs on the ADAS, and you're pretty good. I got some feedback from one of the product managers who said, look, the reason why you're getting the bings and bongs is probably because the car is sensing the road speeds a little bit off. So for example, it thought this zone is supposed to be 40 kilometers per hour. It isn't, it's 50, and I was doing 44, which means there was no reason for it to bing and bong, but it did. But it's easy to set. There's a quick button that you can press on the roller, just press it down. It gives you a configuration of all the ADAS systems that you need to, alarms you need to switch off. It'll switch that off for you. The Sydney EV show is going to be happening from the 30th of October till the 2nd of November. If you look in the description below, you'll see links for a bug off deal, and you should be able to use that to get your buy one get one free. But today's episode, back to today's episode, and that was a quick one that a lot of people have been putting in the comment section. Is there any way to switch off the ADAS system so it doesn't annoy you as much? And yes, there is. Now, I said one of the reasons I bought this car, and the reason why I'm doing this episode, is to let you know about charging curves. And one of the reasons why I bought this car was specifically about the charging curve. Now, I've done 1 or 2 runs with the car, which I didn't record for some reason. So I took this car to the fastest charger in WA, which is sad to say, but there's only one charger in WA that does above 300. And no, it's not a Tesla. It's one of those Triptonic ones that's owned by the RAC. And everyone tries to go there because it means that you're going to charge very quickly. However, it does mean that sometimes you're in there for longer than you need to be. The other reason that particular charge is a bit frustrating is that you also get people whose cars top speed of their charging is probably about 100, 120, and they're coming to those charging stations as well, and you're wondering why you're in a 300 or 350 fast charger when your car can only charge at 150. Go to the 150 chargers and charge your car. But they have a right to go wherever they want to go. It's just that the cars that actually can use those chargers and charge very rapidly are not going to be able to use that. But in their defense, and this is me trying to see both sides of it, if you go to a 300 charge and your car is capable of doing 150, most likely will do 150 for the whole period. So there is that. But what I was trying to say, I took the car in at about 5% or 6% thereabouts, and we got 230 kilowatts from that 6% all the way till about 70, where it dropped up to 200 and maintained 200 till about 80% or 85. Then it dropped to 190, and below 90 it just dropped down to about 60 or 70%. So that was impressive. The other time I took the car out to charge it, I took it to a 120 kilowatt charge, and I took it at 25%. And this is the charging curve I was trying to explain. Now, that particular one definitely underutilizes the capacity of this car, which is fine. But what it did show me, the maximum charging for that car is 100, for that particular charging point was 120. And this car was 118 from I think it was 19%. It was 118 from 19% to 88%. Then it dropped to 100, and at 90 it just fell off a cliff. But to be fair, I rarely charge the car beyond 90. I've said what I'm trying to do with the car is to charge somewhere between 80 and 90 most of the time, so that I'm very comfortable with that. The place I'm going today is about 160 kilowatts. Meanwhile, MG IM, I've got to give you something that you've got to fix in this car. It's all well and good telling me that I've got 240 kilometers left, but the fact that I've got to go into the menu to find out the actual percentage I've got in the car is not exactly ideal. I would prefer for it to be here, 240 kilometers with 50 or 60% range left, or whatever it is that's going on. At this particular point in time, I've got 58%, which is 240 kilometers. It's 17 degrees, which means my range is not going to be optimal. Now, for those of you guys who don't like people clicking their fingers, I do apologize. It's something I do from time to time. So I'm going for a sneaky charge. I don't really need one, but today's Sunday, and I want to try and top up the car for the rest of the week. I haven't had my home charger installed just yet, which is a bit of a shame. I'm going to see if I can try and get that sorted out within the next 2 weeks. The charging costs in WA for charging your car is ridiculously expensive at the public chargers. And it's a bit of a shame you find people taking advantage of the community to a certain extent, charging 79 cents per kilowatt for chargers they're doing 120, 150. It's a bit of a rip-off. I even saw one of the chargers in and around the northern suburbs, which charges at 50 kilowatts, is charging 70 cents per kilowatt. Yeah, but it is what it is. So where I'm going today is somewhere that I've been told on PlugShare is not too far from me. It's about a 14 minute drive from where I live, and I'm going to go see if there is a real charger there, so I don't have to be traveling longer distances pending when I get the fast charger, AC charger installed in the house. So I'm going to go test that out. While I've got you here, I've seen the updated IM6, the Chinese version, and I'm going to do a little video about that in a moment. But it was interesting to see that they have listened to some feedback, and obviously have not listened to some. It still has only one USB port in the back. The screen has been moved from here to there, which is a little bit better, and this has been increased in height. Someone was telling me that you can increase the height for this one as well, but I haven't come across that yet. At some point I will try and find out if that's possible or not. But this is still a 400 kilowatt, 396 to be exact, kilowatt DC fast charger, which means if you've got the right charger, this does make your life a lot easier. Now, I've got to be honest with you. I do think to a certain extent the Zeekr got it right with putting a 22 kilowatt hour charger in the AC charger in the Zeekr 7X. Why do I say so? Yes, definitely not everyone's going to have a three-phase charger. And if you've got a 22 kilowatt hour charger and you can only charge 7 kilowatts because it's only a one-phase system that you've got, that's fine. But if you have the option, and this is where it becomes important, I've just managed to sign up to the EV plan in WA, and I haven't had the opportunity to really test that out just yet. But the EV plan that I signed up to gives me 19 or 20 cents per kilowatt from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. So if I've got a 22 kilowatt hour charger, AC, and I've got a 100 kilowatt hour battery, that tells you that more or less I can get 4.5 hours. I will get my car from 0 to 100%. And most of the time your car is not going to be on 0. Your car is going to be on 5. It's going to be somewhere between 10 and 20% most of the time. And if you're charging once a week, and this is where I'm going with this, if you're charging once a week and you've got a 22 kilowatt hour battery, once a week will mean 10 to 90%, which is roughly about 80 kilowatts. You do that in about 4 hours or less than 4 hours. And your 80 kilowatts at 20 cents per kilowatt, bargain. 80 kilowatts at 20 cents per kilowatt, bargain. Less than $20, 16 to be exact. You've got that car fully charged. So for $16, I can charge the car and drive around in the car for the whole week for $16. The public chargers, yes, definitely a bit of a rip-off, but think about what I said. Now, going back to the 11 kilowatts for this car, it just means that if I plug it in at 11 kilowatts, it's going to take it 10 hours. Now, the charging thing that I've got for this car is not too bad, and the plan is not too bad. From 9 p.m., I think it's about 30 cents per kilowatt, or about 30 cents per kilowatt. So between 9 and 11, or 8 and 11, thereabouts, it will cost you about 11 cents more, 10 cents more, something like that. But that means on the 11 kilowatt, I can plug it in about 9 p.m. And by 6 a.m., which will be roughly about 9 hours, I would have gotten my my 80%, and it will cost me just a little bit more, but it's still sub 20. So definitely it's worth you having the fast charger at home, the AC charger at home. It's definitely worth you having the tariff plan in place. Now, I'm not getting any money from Synergy or the WA government or anything like that. I'm just trying to put things into perspective for you. The whole point of me buying this car was for me to be able to say, look, I've gone green, I've gone a little bit, I've gone electric, but I'm also going to be able to get a lot of content out there for you. Now, I've got a few cheeky surprises for you for the 1-year anniversary of the channel. We're still working on how we're going to make that work, because we've got a diverse group of people that are subscribed to the channel, and I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. But watch this space. You will find that there's something that's going to be available for all of you guys that have subscribed to the channel. Finally, I was also going to mention to you, if you look in the link in the description, you're going to find a link to the Sydney EV show, which was my first EV show, the first EV show we went to on the channel. It was also the first place I went to, and I really started falling in love with electric cars. So the Sydney EV show is one that I will definitely always hold a little bit dear to my heart, which is why I'm saying I've got to do, I'm going to do something alongside that show. So watch this space, and I will shoot the charging curve for this at 50+% to let you know exactly how well this charges or not. Right, so this is what I was trying to tell you. This particular charger is rated to do up to 160 split between 2. And this car is currently at 58% and 242 kilometers remaining. And you're getting 115, 117 thereabouts, trying to ramp up. Now, sometimes I've seen it go much quicker than that, even at this speeds, even at 60%. And I'm thinking maybe this is the first handshake or something. I'm not sure what it is. But what you will notice, and what I'm trying to show you, is that it will maintain this level of speed all the way through till about 90%, which is what we're going to aim to charge for today. So this is definitely a quasi 800 volts, so the voltage is going above 800, quasi 900 volts, sorry. But the problem is the amps. So this system is limiting how much is being delivered, because it's only able to get to about 145 amps. Now, if it was doing about 500 or 600 amps, then we'd be getting a little bit more than we're getting at the moment. So it's been charging for 3 minutes. It's gone from 56% to 62% in 3 minutes, or 54% to 62% in 3 minutes. And it's consistently giving you a steady charge of about 120. Now, if this was better, then we'd be in a position where we'd get a higher delivery or charge to the car. So 10 minutes, we've got 20 kilowatts already delivered. We're still having issues with the amperage. It's stuck at 140 for some reason. But what I was explaining to you about the charge curve is that we've gone from 56 to 76. It's still delivering somewhere around 120. So in 12 minutes, it's added almost 100 kilometer of range. Again, the limitation of this is not the car itself. The limitation is more about the charging infrastructure. So if the charging infrastructure was pretty good, you wouldn't have any problems. But what I was also wanted to let you know is the fact that it's still maintaining roughly about 120 kilowatts on that curve I was explaining to you earlier on. So that curve is the most important bit in there. If you pick up a Tesla, for example, by the time you get to 60%, it will drop down to about 72 or 92 kilowatts, irrespective of which charger that you've plugged it into. Whereas this is at 80% and it's still delivering 117, 118, and roughly about 120. And it's been consistent from the 56% all the way to 80%, which is roughly about 24 kilowatts has been delivered now. 105 kilometers of range has been added in about 14 minutes, thereabouts. So I'm going to try and push this. The only reason why I'm saying 29 minutes is going to be, it's going to take it to fully charge is simply because I want to push it all the way to 100. And I know it slows down, but I want you to see where the drop off is. The drop off is going to be about 90%. And that's the battery pack and the battery management system trying to protect the car. So the first drop in the curve came in at 86%. It's gone from 120 to about 100, 102, 100 thereabouts. And that's at 86%. And the whole point of me trying to let you know this is, again, to show you what the charging curve looks like. It's fairly consistent all the way to 90. Each time I've tried to charge the car, 90 is the drop-off point. And at 90, you start to see it go below 100 very consistently. But even up to 87, 88%, you're still going to be getting close to the 100 kilowatt hour mark. At 88%, it's dropped down to sub 90 for the first time. It's now struggling at 88 to 89. Again, in keeping with what I was saying, then it's roughly around the 90% point that you start to notice a drop off. And I've done a comparison test with the Tesla Model 3 and a Model Y, but not the Juniper. I've got to be honest, it's not the Juniper, but I expect the charging curve of the Juniper is going to be effectively the same. Slight variations, but effectively the same. At 90%, the Tesla Model Y is charging in about 46 kilowatts. And once it gets to 90, you see another drop off to 22%. But this is at 88% now and is doing 80 kilowatts, which is about 40 to 50 kilowatts more than you'd get in a Tesla at this particular point. Now, the car I would really love to go test the charging of with the Zeekr 7X, because the Zeekr 7X is the only car that I'm aware of that will charge in the Australian market as good as this, or even possibly better. But watch as we get to the 90 mark, you continue to see another drop off. So it's now averaging about 75 kilowatts at 89%. So it will maintain its charging from about 4%, which I've tested, all the way to about 88, 89%. Then you start to see a steep drop off in the charging curve. And there's another chap who's done a proper range test and a proper charging curve test for the IM6 as well. And it did prove his point that between the 85 and the 92% mark, the drop off is steep. And then after the 92% mark, you get a little bit of a stability in there that maintains roughly about 40 to 50 kilowatts before it drops off again. So we're at 90% at the moment, and we're averaging about 70 kilowatts, which is better than the Tesla Model 3, which we tested in April, which at 40% was at 92, at 60% dropped down to 72 kilowatts. Now, if it wasn't for that steep drop off between 88 and 90, I would say this will probably be the perfect car in terms of charging, because the charging curve I've seen on the Zeekr 7X elsewhere, the drop-offs are bigger than the drop-offs on the IM6. But the Zeekr 7X does charge faster. That cannot be denied. Now, the sad bit of this is that for the whole of Australia, there are very, very few places that you'll go that you get charges above 300. Very, very few. If anyone came into the market now providing charging speeds at that level, they'd probably come out the market very quickly because everybody would want to go to their chargers. And for those of you who are wondering, I've set my charger to be dynamic rather than WLTP, because the WLTP gives you a full sensibility for how much range you've got. So my dynamic actually gives me a better sense of exactly what I've got based on my driving style, based on the temperature, based on the circumstances around me while I'm driving, sorry. So we're up to 92% and it's still maintaining 56.2 kilowatts. Right, so I've been here just about 20 something minutes now. I'm completely happy with the charging to a large extent. It's proven my point. We're at 96%. We're still achieving 34 kilowatts charging, which again is faster than most of the other cars that are available. So the charging curve definitely is much better. And I would normally not charge above 90 because this is an NMC battery. I would probably say if you've got an NMC battery, charge it above 90 maybe once a month, just so that the car can have a good opportunity to fill up all the cells and help you calibrate a little bit better. Your best bet is charging somewhere between 80 and 90%. But once a month, just go all the way through. Again, you're trying to avoid degradation of the batteries, especially if you're doing DC fast charging. If you're doing an AC charge, you can definitely go a little bit longer, 85-90% AC charge, because it's done slowly. The battery doesn't overheat. There's no pressure on the battery, which therefore means that you do get a lot more out of it. At least that's what my research has shown. I might be wrong, but this is what I've figured out. There are people who know more about it than I do. But that's what I've found out. But in terms of charging this, right now, there are very, very few cars that will do better than this in Australia. And I can literally count them on one hand. The only car that will probably do better than this is the Zeekr 7X. Your Zeekr 009 is also 800 volt architecture, will come close, but not as good as this. Your Xpeng G6 will come close, but it's not as good as this as well. The new version of the Xpeng G6 coming in, that will probably be close again, because that's got a 5C battery and is capable of doing 500 to 600 kilowatts as well. So you've got those are the niche cars that are going to be there. Now, if you go back to my video, how to future-proof your cars, go back and watch that video. There's specific things you need to look at. There are cars that are classed as value propositions, but the chances of them retaining value, not as much. So all the cars that you come in that have got less than 150 kilowatt charging will, within the next 2 to 3 years, become obsolete. I have it on good authority. So if you go in the pop-up corner there, you'll see my interview with Jackie Gu, in which he says, look, they're looking to bring in chargers to Australia, and they're looking to make sure that the charging infrastructure is going to be there to actually get people to get the best use of their cars. So off the top of my head, there are 3 people likely to be bringing chargers into Australia in 2026. You've got NIO that's likely to be coming in. So I'm not sure when the chargers will come in, but I know Zeekr is coming in. I know Xpeng is coming in, and I know BYD is contemplating it. So those 3. Now, the Zeekr chargers can do 600 kilowatts. The Xpeng chargers can do 500 kilowatts. The BYD chargers can do 450 to 500 as well, depending on which ones they bring. They've got a specialized set that can do 1,000, but I don't expect that to come to Australia. We don't have the capacity or the infrastructure for it. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if you buy a car that can only do 150, and all the other cars are now doing 350, 400, 500, your 150 will have little or no resale value in 2 to 3 years. That's why I said future-proofing your car has got to do with you understanding what it is that's going to be the market situation in a couple of years. Now, Tesla will still get away with it to a certain extent because its infrastructure is designed for the 400 volt architecture. But even Tesla knows that once the other chargers come into the market and they've got 800 volt architecture chargers, It's only a matter of time before it also becomes obsolete. And here's the joke. If you've got an 800 volt architecture car and you go to a Tesla supercharger, it's not a supercharger. You're just paying for the luxury of getting access to it. Because for 800 volt architecture on the Tesla supercharger, you're only going to be able to charge between 60 and 100 kilowatts, which is no different from this. Well, this is actually 120, so it's going to be superior to that. Now, I've got a rule, and that rule I'm going to implement in a moment. I have a rule that if you're charging at a fast charger and your charging speed drops below 20 kilowatts, there's no difference between you charging in an AC charger and you being in a DC fast charger. So officially now we're 98%, and the charging is dropped to 24. So if it drops below 20, technically I should make it 22, because 22 kilowatts is the top end of the AC charging. But most AC chargers are 11. I'll stick with 20. But if you're charging at 20 kilowatts at any fast charger, please just disconnect and let somebody else get the opportunity to charge their car. The only reason why I'm still sitting in here right now is because there's no one here. If there was someone here, I will gladly disconnect and not wait for the for it to charge to 100%. What is also very frustrating is there's a guy who's parked right next to us, and he's put his car in a charging bay for the electric chargers, even though he's not got an electric car. People like that, I think, are very inconsiderate, and technically the owners of this charging station should come in and tow cars like this away for causing discomfort to everybody else. But that's my personal opinion. So I'm officially at 22 kilowatts at 98%. If it drops below 20, I'm going to disconnect irrespective of whether I get to 100% or not. This whole charging experience was for me to try and show you what the charging curve looked like. And what I was able to show you was that this car maintained 118 kilowatts from 54% all the way to 88%. It didn't drop below 100% until 90. And it stayed roughly consistent. Between 92 and 93 was about 70. And then at 95, it dropped to about 50. And now that we're 98%, we're 21. So I fully expect that once it gets to 99%, it's going to drop below 20. And then I'll go and disconnect it and say, look, we've had enough. So what does that tell you? Buying your car, find out what the voltage structure of the car is. If it's an 800 volt architecture, that's the one you want. But if it's a 400 volt and it can do 150, if it's an LFP battery, I'd go for it because it can maintain it. You can charge it to 100% very frequently. But if it's below 100, below 150, I'd give it a miss. Now, this then takes me to something that's happening to BYD, and BYD should know better, but for some reason the people that are in charge of making decisions are turning a blind eye to it because they think people don't know better. BYD sells a lot of plug-in hybrids, and the plug-in hybrids are fantastic. The quality and the interior of most of the plug-in hybrids are amazing. The only problem is BYD does two sets of batteries for his plug-in hybrids. It does an 18 kilowatt and a 28 kilowatt, but all of them are charging between 30 and 80 kilowatts DC fast charging. And to put it into context, the Kunlun and the Kundun systems, which are from two different companies, I think one's from Geely, the other one is from Xpeng, are now going to be doing 5C on their plug-in hybrids as well. So if I had to pick a car that's going to be a plug-in hybrid that's got a DC fast charger of 30 kilowatts, like the Starray, for example, I wouldn't buy it. Is it a good price? Yes, it's $40,000, but if the Xpeng G6 comes out next year with the EREV versions of it, and it can charge 500 kilowatts, and it's got a 60 kilowatt hour battery, what the heck am I buying something with an 18 kilowatt hour battery? All right, so until the next one, peace, love, and enjoy, and I will see you soon. Just in case I've not said this before in the video, this channel can only survive if you guys continue to support us. We do need you to sign up for subscriptions, to share, like with your friends, let them get talking about the channel. And if you've got it and you're able to, please join our Patreon membership as well as the membership on YouTube. It does keep us afloat, helps us to finance the cost of doing all the tests and all the things we do on the channel. So until the next one, take care of yourselves and stay blessed.